All right. Hey, welcome into the Off the Cuff podcast, Postgame edition. Lions and Steelers final or finale preseason. It's over. It's done. We wash our hands. Funute, it's over. It's time for the regular season, which, man, that's what everyone's waiting for. Like I said a couple of nights ago, man, the wind just kind of got taken out of my sails with this preseason. I don't know why. It got off to a real hot start, and then it kind of just dragged down. Not seeing the starters has really changed my tune. And today, I think my tune might have changed on a few players. We're going to talk about it. I don't really have a roster because I literally just walked in the door about 14 minutes ago, getting back from the game. Some good things, plenty of bad. I haven't had a chance to watch the tape, so I'm going to learn a lot from you guys tonight. But what I saw on the field today might be a little bit of a different story from some things that you guys see. Not everything is shown. Not every angle is shown. We know that when we watch it on the old television screen. So I made some notes while I was sitting, and that's what I want to talk about. But first, I want to make sure that I let everybody know. Appreciate you guys waiting for me, and of course being part of every show that we do. We've got a loyalty crew here, and not only is there a loyalty crew, but there is even a membership for a loyalty crew now. Memberships are open. Get in. For this season, we have what I believe is now the best chat, not only in here on YouTube, but now on Voxer. We have an amazing chat for all of the members, and I tell you what, there's so much information in this chat. Everyone's talking it up. They're talking about the plays. They're talking about the games. They're talking about news articles, whatever. They're staying involved. And if you want to have all of the information at your fingertips and a great group of people, men and women in here talking about it, that's a great place to be. And it's the lowest tiered chat or lowest tiered member opportunity for you guys with Rock Down Detroit Lions. You get access to the chat and so much more, to be honest with you. So I want to say thank you again to everybody. Tracy, or Trace, Roger, Mike P, Cake Man, anybody else that's in there. We got Eric Rintamaki's in there with Uper Lights. Those are a few of the members that are in tonight. You got Ryan Van Valkenburg. There's a lot of members that are part of the chat, and that's what we intended it for it to be. So Right away in the chat, I want to know tonight, what stood out to you guys on the offensive side of the ball in the first half? And I think the first half is like the most important storyline tonight for a few different reasons, because things changed in the second half for reasons that we'll talk about. So what stood out to you tonight offensively in the first half, and defensively, what stood out? I'd like to know from you guys. I'd love to hear it. Trace is already getting on top of these likes. Just remember, it should be ad-free tonight. Let me just double check. Let's make sure we're ad-free. It's always ad-free when you guys come in. Oh, it's not. It will be right now. All we request is that you guys like the stream, and it's ad-free the entire night. While we're live, ads will be turned on after the live ends. We pay for all the ads, so you guys don't have to worry about it. Even if you pay for YouTube, their premium stuff, we still take care of the ads for you while you're live. And I know you wouldn't have them anyway, but a lot of people don't have the YouTube premium stuff. That's the only way that I could do it without buying everybody YouTube premium, right? Which I'm not going to do. So let me get the chat back open here. Let's see what we're hearing about right now. So Brandon Hurt said O-line. And J-Rod, welcome to the Lions faithful, buddy. Just joined. Welcome to level 1. Thank you for joining the membership. If you visit the community tab, all the members, if you visit the community tab, that is where the information is for the Voxer chat. And it's members only. So only members get access to this. Let's not share the information to anyone that's not a member. And you will know, because if you're in there, you belong there, right? You subbed up. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, Josh Jackson. Just subbed up today. We've gained a lot of subscribers. Matter of fact, we're only like 30 away from our next helmet drawing. So without further ado, though, let's get into this, though. We'll get into all the other semantics of everything we do here on this channel later. But welcome to the club, J-Rod. Appreciate you being a member. And, man, you're going to be joining a great group. So Jake Fromm. Braylon Dennis says Jake Fromm surprised you. See, I'm going to talk about that, too. But that'll be at the end. Salty, what's happening, my man? How you doing? Braylon said, I know Dan Campbell's not stupid. He has to see with his own eyes that Jake Fromm is better than Sudfield. Braylon, I hate to break it to you, but I don't think that's going to happen. And I'll explain my reasons. It doesn't mean that I'm in agreement with it, but I'll explain my reasons later. Peter Van Larhoven, how you doing tonight? Another member. Mike P's in the house. J-Rod, appreciate you joining tonight. So, all right, let me get to my notes. Call-in line will be open. So whether I remember to tell you that it's open or not, at 7:15 p.m., the call-in line is open. If you're a member and you want to call in, obviously you guys should already have the number. I'm going to drop that in the member chat right now. And everyone else, they can also call in. But I just put it in the member chat. That's the phone number to call in at 7:15. 7:15 to 7:30, we do members only. And then after that, anybody can call. So here's my notes. Here's what I'm going to start with. So I think everyone's going to want to start with this anyway. Maybe. Or maybe it's just me. Hendon Hooker. Oh, Hendon. Hendon. You guys know that I called Hendon to the Lions, right? A lot of you that have been here, you saw what I predicted before the draft, during the draft, and it was Hendon Hooker. I still believe in this guy. Wholeheartedly, this guy is going to be just fine. Making the plays that he's making with his legs, I am not surprised one bit. But I am surprised with a few things. And they're not so great right now, but I think that there's a lot of reasons why he's having some struggles in certain areas of his game. And my first note is this, and it's this simple. Due to the offensive line play tonight, or today, there are really two different Hendon Hookers on this team. And I think that you've seen it. In the first quarter, couldn't do anything. Guy was getting sacked left and right. I don't even know how many sacks they had in the first quarter. At one point, I counted 4 or 5. And I'll open up the stats here in just a minute. But I counted at least 4 or 5 that was like in the first half for sure. But he was under pressure from snap one. And Hendon just, he kept holding the ball. And he was not getting rid of the ball. He was trying to make plays with his legs. At some points, it seemed like he just kind of froze. Like a deer in headlights, he just froze. He didn't know what to do. Like if he couldn't move and if he couldn't run, he didn't even think about throwing the ball away or scrambling to get into a position to make a throw. And holding the ball is a big problem that he's had since early in spring. He was making a lot of bad decisions. And that was what a lot of writers were writing about that were in the early, OTAs and the rookie camps or, their observations, if you will. And of course, when training camp hit, and then all the writers are allowed to be there. There was a lot more of that being written, that Hendon was just like Statue of Liberty back there, just not making a whole lot of great decisions, leading to sacks, leading to bad plays. And that's what we saw today. The minute he was under pressure, he kind of froze. But I'm going to give him a small out tonight, and we'll get to that in a minute too. So offensive line play really dictated how he played, number one. Number two, he holds the ball way too much. Number three, this is what I did see that really concerned me. The minute he does scramble, right, he goes into run mode. He's not scrambling, keeping his eyes downfield, putting himself in position, looking where his receivers are so he can make that throw on the run. When he starts running, he's running. He's not running lateral, to try to, get away from pressure. He's not backing up into the pocket, and trying to put himself into position. He's tucking and running. It's like he goes from 1, 2, 3, oh, shoot, I've got pressure, I got to run. He doesn't stop and think for a minute. I know what's behind me. So quarterbacks have this, extra sense. The good ones, like Jared Goff. When he starts to get pressure, he knows, he feels it, where it's coming, and he knows who's behind him, so he knows where to move and navigate throughout the pocket. Go back and watch the game today. You will see Hendon Hooker didn't appear to have that extra sense, and I think that's why he just tucked it and ran. So taking his eyes off the field or downfield and not seeing his receivers today was another reason why he kept taking sacks. Those are big concerns for me. But again, I will give him an out today. So there's my first 4 points. Offensive line play dictated who Hendon was at points in the game. Holding the ball too long, then taking his eyes off the field, and then he always wants to tuck and run. I mean, that's great if that's the game plan. If the game plan is Hendon, if it's not there, just run. Use your legs. But here's the question that I'm going to ask. How many times have we seen this before? With Justin Fields, with Jalen Hurts, Michael Vick. Not comparing him to Michael Vick, but I'm throwing these names out there because what ultimately happens to these guys? Lamar Jackson. What happens to every single one of these quarterbacks? They get hurt. And tonight, when I kept witnessing Hendon run, not only did he not get down and slide because he wasn't in a good enough position to do that, but he took a couple of shots on his knees. There was one play that, he was so extended. Right leg is way up here and his back leg is and he takes a shot on the right knee. And I just cringed in my seat. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this guy's going to get taken out. So it was not graceful, if you will. Just not graceful. But at times, he's electric, right? Running with the ball is exciting, especially from a quarterback. And he does have the gift to be able to make plays with his legs. And I love all of that. But I would rather see him be a quarterback first than a running back. And I don't want to see him get hurt. So I would urge you go back and watch his helmet, watch his eyes when he starts to come under pressure. And these are some of the things that we're going to be doing with the All-22 at the next tier. So if you are in the second tier of the membership, what we are going to do like a night or two after is we're going to review the all 22, the condensed version, and just kind of talk about it, have a conversation. I'm going to try to figure out the best way to do that between now and week one. Because I want to be able to have everybody in like a Zoom call as opposed to just me talking to you. Like I want to have everybody able to talk back, if that makes sense. So number 5, here's my out, I think. Here's my out for Hendon. And then I'll come into the chat and see what you guys have to say. He hasn't played football in 2 seasons, right? This is his first season back, right? He didn't play last year. The year before that, he gets injured late in the season. I mean, really, it's a full season and a half, whatever you want to call it. He hasn't played in a while. It's going to take some time for him to kind of work out all the cobwebs, feel comfortable again. He's working a brand new offense that is very difficult, right? This is not an easy offense. It's predicated on timing, something that he's never really had to do a whole lot of. I mean, every offense has its elements of timing, but for him, it was just kind of chuck it, just chuck it or run it. There really wasn't a whole lot to it. So that's my out for him tonight is that he hasn't played a whole lot of football, and it's not easy when you have to come back and play the hardest position on the field. In my opinion, there's center, there's quarterback, and there's tight end and middle linebacker. Those are like the 3 hardest positions on the field, in my opinion. And he's got to run one of them, and he's running one of the most advanced offenses in the league. And I think it's just going to take him a minute. Here's the other out to that. You put him behind this starting offensive line, he doesn't have these problems. I don't think that he's going to suffer as much pressure behind Penei Sewell and Taylor Decker and Frank Ragnow and Graham Glasgow and Kevin Zeitler. I think that he's going to have more time to be able to throw the ball. And we saw that last week versus the Chiefs. He had a little bit more time to do something with the ball. And when he was not under pressure, I think that he was playing average. There was a lot to clean up. There was still a lot for him to dissect and fix, which will happen over time. It's going to take time. The good news is we hope that we never see Hendon have to take the field. And as long as that happens, our season is fine. But if that happens, I mean, we're a 50-50 crapshoot right now. What Hendon are we going to get? Are we going to get the Hendon that seems to rush himself a little bit too much? Or are we going to get the Hendon that can be poised and calm and collected and get through his progressions? I guess here's the third out for tonight. It was the Steelers' number 1 offense or number 1 defense, or a lot of them, going against, our number 2 offensive line. That's not, a win for the Lions. If anything, it was a great test. It was a great test, and we lost. So first half offensive line was obviously terrible. The number 1 defense, being the true test for us, was a large failure for our second team tonight. Colby Sorsdahl was getting burned left and right for a minute there. Manu out of position. Coyote, I mean, he had his time tonight too, where didn't look good. There's a lot of blame that can go around across that entire offensive line. But again, I respect the hell out of them for going up against a Steeler defense, and they're number 1s at that. So I think that that's where you see these 2 halves of Hendon, because in the second half, or when the number 1 started to leave the game, Hendon started to pick it up a little bit, and things started to kind of go in his favor. And I think that's a good segue to Jake Fromm. I'm going to spend all of 30 seconds on Jake Fromm. Here's my thing on Jake Fromm. He was going up against number 3s. So what he did extremely late in the game, it doesn't excite me a whole lot. And I think that's why Sudfeld would probably finish, above him. But I did like the way that he was spinning the ball. I got to tell you, that I'd said it before. He's got a cannon for an arm, and he's very accurate as a passer. But what we saw tonight's not enough. Hopefully he can come back on the practice squad. Now that would be great. So that's it, man. Yeah, if Yatu and Lafon got hurt, that was the dagger in the heart today. It really was. I just read that when I got home. So I'm not gonna back all the way back up into the chat, but let me do this. Josh Jackson says, "Bro, I'm rather irritated. I've been subscribed since day one, and it just forced me to unsubscribe and resubscribe to comment. It even said subscribed and all notifications were on. Dude, I don't know what's going on with YouTube, man. I have no idea. But let me do this. Let me go in and make sure that I don't have subscriber mode turned on. Sometimes when I reuse settings to schedule a stream, I don't know what settings are on. Yep, subscriber mode is on. That's why you had to resubscribe. So let me turn subscriber mode off. That way anybody that's in tonight can go ahead and comment. Sorry about that. I'm sure you guys are all, for some of you, probably wanted to get some comments in there. My apologies. Okay, so Postgame's out right now. Figures when I go live, it's going to be live, so we'll probably lose a few people. But that's all right. I'll recap it, a little bit later on tonight or in a video or something tomorrow. I would bring it in, but I'm not really prepared to do that. I just got home and I don't have my screen set up to be able to do that. I mean, I could. I guess I could, but it would take me a minute. So if our here's another thing. If our starting O-line suffers in more than one injury during this season, I think that this offense could be in some trouble. More than one significant injury. So like if we were to lose Frank Ragnow, I think that we could manage, right? And I'm not saying that we don't need him, because we do. He's imperative to this offensive line's success. But we have Graham Glasgow, who, he's really damn good. So I'm not as concerned. See, now where I get concerned is who replaces Graham Glasgow at the left guard position. If we lose Taylor Decker or Penei Sewell, we are in trouble. With the team that we have right now for this backups, I apologize if any of the Lions ever listen to this. But what I'm seeing out of Kobe Sorsdahl and Giovanni Manu, we've expected for him to be a project. Like he is Broderick Martin from last year. He's 1 year away from, in my opinion, being competent at his position and then getting inserted into an opportunity. They completely scrapped everything that he has done to date, all of it, and started him brand new like he's never played football before. At least that's what I understood of what their plan was shortly after they started, rookie camps and all that stuff. So Giovanni Manu is he's a project. We knew that. He's a developmental guy. Hendon Hooker's a developmental guy. And that's why I'm not too concerned with Hendon right now, because, look, we should expect some of this stuff. And in this next statement, you probably won't, or all of you probably wouldn't love it. But remember when maybe some of you in this chat or watching this video or this live stream said that you wanted Hendon Hooker to start over Jared Goff this year? Whew. Man, we'd be in trouble if we didn't get Goff wrapped up. We'd be in trouble right now. So Hendon's going to need some time. He is. But I think that the greater plan here is we just don't want to see Hendon have to take the field. We definitely don't want to see Nate Sudfeld take the field. So there's that part of it too. Nate Sudfeld, Hendon Hooker. Who's better? Nate didn't play tonight. So does that mean that he's the number two? Because generally, the guys that don't play in succession, or at least it's been that way in seasons past, the first ones to come out, they're usually more secure than the guys that are still playing. Now, it is a case of numbers, right? You got 90 guys, and actually the Lions only had 89 on the entire depth chart, or the entire roster. So we didn't have, even a full 90-man roster, which should say something too. There's just not a lot of open positions. There's just not a lot of battles, on this team right now. There's a few minor battles or big battles, but you know what I'm saying. So you don't have a a bunch of starting offenses and defenses, you have guys that are going to have to, they're going to have to play. And that's kind of what you will see, towards the later half of the game is, some guys that maybe are going to make this roster or pretty confident they're going to make this roster. They got to play. We need bodies out there. And that could be the case for Nate, but I just don't see it being that way. And Dan's even come out and said himself that Nate Sudfeld had the edge over Hendon. Now, I wouldn't think that would be true just based on Hendon's legs, but you can't just have a quarterback that has legs. He has to be able to throw the ball accurately, and I saw some very ill-timed passes. His interception today was, not only was that ball so late, like extremely late, but he threw it wide left, and that was not a drop. That was even though it hit his hands, to me that was a wide left pass that was extremely late. And you're almost hanging your receiver out to dry with that kind of pass. That pass should have been way earlier. Way earlier. All right, let me get into the chat and see what everyone's talking about tonight. It's firing away tonight. You guys are all over it. So let's see here. Levi starts ahead of Martin. And probably. Man, Martin. Yeah, I'll get into Martin in a minute. Yeah, Fromm was definitely more poised than Sudfeld. Hell, he was more poised than Hendon Hooker. But I think we have to adjust our level, our gauge a little bit, right? I think that we need to, what's the word I'm looking for? We kind of need to zero it out. We need to kind of start from a baseline that tells us, hey, look, Fromm is in there against the bottom barrel right now. And of course, he's going to look halfway decent. He's got a very vanilla playbook. He's only been with the team a little over, a week and a half, maybe at the most. And he's been around the league for a little bit. So, yeah, he's going to look better, but I think it's the level of competition. So go throw him up against, the ones in the first quarter. We would have probably seen the second version of Hendon Hooker scrambling. Maybe he would have made some plays. I don't know. But, I think that he would have had a tough time. Hold on. We got messages coming in here. All right. Let me get back into the chat. Roger says we need to be patient. Let him develop. I assume you're talking about Hendon because I'm kind of far away from the chat at this point. Cake Man says we need to curb our enthusiasm. Fromm isn't the answer. Wasn't that a show? Curb your enthusiasm. Good work there. Bob W was really expecting more out of DPJ this year. Yeah, he comes off firing after last week's preseason game against the Chiefs in practice, and then he disappears. But let me ask you this, and I'm going to get into Dark Cash's comment here in just a minute. A lot of new names in tonight. Appreciate you guys joining tonight. So definitely need to temper our expectations. I think that's first and foremost. But DPJ, man, is he a product of Hendon Hooker not being able to get anybody the ball today? Is he a product of Nate Sudfeld not being able to get anybody the ball last week? Now, yeah, he completed some passes. And I haven't even addressed the stats, so let's just take a look at some stats real quick. Hendon Hooker tonight, he was 12 of 20, 114 yards, a 5.7 yard average. 5.7. That is terrible. I mean, look at Justin Fields was 3 of 4, 10 yards, average. Kyle Allen, don't even know who he is. He was 3 of 5 with his 13.6 average. Russell Wilson threw 2 balls for 100%, 13 yard average. Hendon Hooker, 5.7 yard average, 1 TD, 1 interception, took 5 sacks for 29 yards and a 71.7 rating. But then again, he went up against some ones tonight. He had a rough night against what should be a pretty decent defense this year. Jake Fromm, comes in at the tail end of the game, and he completes 6 of 8. 75% clip. That's the number that I said I wanted to see from these guys all preseason was 75%. If I could see that number, I'd be ecstatic. And that's a tough number to get to in the regular season, but in the preseason, it should be a little bit easier. 89 yards. He threw for 11.1 yard average, so much better average, but again, he's up against number 3s. But 12 of 20, so what is that, 60% for Hendon Hooker? If my math is mathing? Yeah, 60%. That's not great. And he's kind of been that way this whole preseason. He's kind of right in that 60-65% range. That number needs to be higher in the preseason. Now, here's where he had success, right? He ran the ball 10 times for 93 yards. He led the team in rushing at 9.3 yards, per rush. Phenomenal, right? Great work on the ground. But you're a quarterback. And in this league, running quarterbacks are going to get hurt. Hendon Hooker, when I evaluated him, at the tail end of last year and started watching his tape and kind of looking to see, where could the Lions find a quarterback in this draft that wasn't going to cost us a bunch. I loved what I saw, from his ability. I just knew that offense translation was going to be really difficult for him. And I think that that's been his biggest challenge is trying to mix the two here, trying to blend what he's done and what he's trying to do. And he knows one thing works well for him, and that's his legs. And if he's just going to bolt and take off way too quick, that's concerning to me for right now. Let him develop. He will develop. Just we need to take a little bit more time, with our expectations. Dark Cash says, I'm super happy that we're talking about who is our third stringers and not who is our starting. Let's go. Season time. Go Lions. All right. And I think what you mean there is we are talking about who our third stringers are this year. The Lions are really deep. When you get past our starters, the starting 25 is what I call it. We have, maybe 40 guys on this team that are probably starters on the majority of teams in the NFL. I think that the number is 40. I think we have 40 guys that can be starters on just about any team in the NFL. And that's pretty solid, man. Like that's great. That means you've got, 16 guys on this team, or 13 guys that'll end up making the 53 that maybe they're, true number 2s. Maybe it's 38, maybe it's 37 guys that are true number 1s. That's huge for us. Our depth is a lot better. A lot better. Morale Tarantino says is DPJ. Is it DPJ or the quarterback? So that's what I was just talking about. Is it? What do you guys think? Is it DPJ or the quarterback? Let's do a poll. Appreciate it. We'll use your question and my question, and we'll turn it into a poll. Is it? We're just going to use it. Is it DPJ? Is it me? Is it you? Is it me? Is it you? Right? Is it DPJ or is it the QB? There's something to be said here. I've been rolling with that for a couple weeks now. Ever since I watched the first preseason game, I kind of had that feeling, right? That if Sudfeld cannot get these guys the ball in practice, or in a game in preseason, joint practice versus the Giants, terrible. Can't get these guys the ball. So you've got guys on the roster that can be decent wide receivers in this league. But unfortunately, if your quarterback can't make you look good or help you look good, meaning at least just get you the damn ball, you're not going to be able to put on a show for your coaches. And if you don't put on a show for your coaches, and then you can't put on a show for the writers and then the fans in the preseason game, man, you are going to get beat up big time. The writers are going to jump you. The fans are going to jump you. It's just the way it happens. And that's because sometimes not everybody sees what's really happening. And these are the great conversations that we have here on this channel is let's talk about some things that maybe some people are seeing that maybe others haven't thought about. Newsflash, not one of us is perfect, right? We don't see everything. I certainly don't. I rely on a lot of other people to help guide me in some things that maybe I don't see. It just makes me better. It helps me evaluate. Adam, shout out for your $1.99 super chat. He says, who is our starting 11 on D week 1? Thank you. Man, you're going to have to tune in on Monday morning for the full 53. But if I were to give you my top 11 right now, it's probably going to change come Monday morning. Potentially. Maybe not. Let's see. Lions depth chart. Let me pull it up. Man, Ifeatu Melifonwu. Before I get into that, let me get into an injury status real quick. I probably should have pulled in that press conference. Lions are not too sure on Ifeatu Melifonwu's timeline on injury updates today. This news coming to you by ways of John Macaroon, the doc, doing a great job putting out everything that we need to know right away. It appears Dan Campbell updated the injury status of several players on the roster, including Ifeatu Melifonwu, Penei Sewell, Craig Reynolds, and Broderick Martin. And for Ifeatu Melifonwu, the answer was this: not sure. He's been out for a little while. Nothing that we feel like is long-term. We've heard that before, though. Yet it's continuing to take a little while. So I'm not too sure on that one. I don't know when we'll have him back or if he'll be back, what that timeline is. That statement right there, or if he'll be back, that concerned me when I read that today. Now, I expected, from what we heard all week long, is that we should get everybody back on Monday. Actually, Dan said Sunday, but by Monday. So what is he saying if he'll be back? I know that Ifeatu Melifonwu just didn't fall off this roster. There is no way he fell off this roster. Who? Brandon Joseph? Over top of him? Come on. Clearly, this means that the Lions are going to have to do something so that he could get NFI'd. So that's why I said come Monday, my top 11 might change. Here's where I'm going to go. Depth chart. Here we go. Defense. You asked for defense, Adam. I'm going to give you defense. Marcus Davenport, clearly starting day 1. Ali McNeil, starting day 1. Aiden Hutchinson. Yeah, I think he's starting day 1. I'm just a wild guess here. Jack Campbell, he's starting. Alex Anzalone, that's 5. Carlton Davis, Terrion Arnold, that's 7. Amik the Freak at nickel. I'm probably going to put Brian Branch at safety and Kirby Joseph at the other safety. That's 10. So who am I missing? Well, who's going to start in place of DJ Reader if DJ Reader can't go? Is it Levi O? Is it Broderick Martin or Kyle Pecco? And here's where I'm going to go. For today, I think Levi O has done enough to earn an opportunity. I think Kyle Pecco has also done enough to earn that same opportunity. And I think that they're going to battle it out if DJ Reader is sidelined. And one of those two would start over Broderick Martin at this point. So there's my top 11. I'll roll with Levi O as the other starting defensive tackle to start the season today. That's today's answer. We'll see what happens on Monday morning. Eric and I will be doing a full breakdown of the 53-man roster and who we feel should make this team. And then, of course, on Tuesday by 4 p.m., we will know who is on this team, but it won't be at 4 p.m. If you remember the last 2 seasons, we don't get a full 53 till about 8 p.m. every night. Now, could change. They could start making cuts today, but it could change. And I apologize if I missed a lot of your questions or comments we've gone through a lot. Please help us, though. Do us a favor and like the stream. Help us get out there to more Lions fans. Our goal is to reach at least 10,000 subscribers this season. If you know one thing about us, we are the only channel that gives away all sorts of stuff. Every 500 subscribers, we're doing signed mini helmets by Penei Sewell and Chris Spielman. Those are certified of authenticity. They were purchased through or acquired from your people at Pro Sports Zone in Livonia. If you guys have not been to Pro Sports Zone in Livonia, John Yu and his crew, man, they have the absolute best merchandise, the largest selection of merchandise and gear and signed memorabilia, anything that you want for your Lions fan cave, man cave, she cave, whatever, her cave, anybody's cave. You can get anything you want there at Pro Sports Zone in Livonia. They are located at 37700 6 Mile Road, inside the Laurel Park Place Mall. Check them out today. They are open from 12 to 6 tomorrow. Check them out. They close here in about 27 minutes, but check them out tomorrow. Check them out every day. Go load up on everything that you need at Pro Sports Zone for the season, and then head across the street because, hey, college football starts in about, I don't know, a week and a half. Or is it this week? It's this week, I think. They have a college store too, so they're all loaded. Good stuff. Okay. Nemesis Break says he can't wait to punish the Rams week 1. You know what? Things are starting to look up for us in week 1. The Rams are struggling right now. They are struggling. A couple of offensive linemen and Braylon says, oh, wow, a hurt safety. We could have gotten Justin freaking Simmons. Yeah, but at what cost? That's the thing, man. And I wanted Simmons, you know that. I thought that he was, it's not so much that I wanted him. I just thought that he was the best option for the Lions early in free agency and someone that would be available. And he was the last one to go. I mean, he just signed with the team, just signed. But, there's just some things that you can't guard against everything. You can't protect your team against everything. So let me go back to the poll here. We got 30 votes so far. The question was, is it DPJ or is it the quarterback? And the meaning of this question is it DPJ's fault that he's not doing enough to shine during the preseason? Or is it the quarterback's fault, not able to get him the ball? And you guys are almost dead even split. It's 53% saying yes. 47% saying no. Oh, just changed. 58% now say yes. And 42% say no with 33 votes. So I would vote yes. I would say that so far it's been lackluster performances by our quarterbacks, unfortunately. Let's see here. J-Rod says, Rocked, have you done any homework on David Bell, wide receiver, Cleveland Browns? So he was one that I mentioned the other day that is potentially going to be available. Did he get cut yet or already? I think he's like 6 foot. He's not quite the X style of receiver, but he is someone that I had listed as a potential cut candidate that the Lions could be interested in, being a local guy as well. Or at least in the area, I should say, during his college years, he's an opportunity. But again, we've got all of these, and he's young, but we've got all of these guys that are in that 6 foot, 6'1" range. And I think he's 6'1", 6 foot right in there. So not a true X receiver, but he does offer youth. And again, someone that could help us out in a pinch. I don't think that he comes to this team if he did get picked up and, offers us an immediate scapegoat, if you will, or an immediate fourth option that's just going to put up a bunch of numbers. I still think that the Lions are probably going to roll with DPJ. Caden Davis, he made a name for himself tonight. Isaiah Williams, where I'm going to go next. Let's talk about offense for a second here. Transitioning from quarterback. So who is my next surprising player tonight? Isaiah Williams. Not so surprising, I guess I should say. I've been saying that Isaiah Williams has been a lock on this team since week 1 of the preseason. And he's continued to show up and show up and show up. And tonight was no different. Isaiah Williams, let me get into his stats for the day. He only caught 1 ball on the offensive side for 17 yards. Again, I think that is the performance of the quarterback, not able to find receivers when they are available. In the return game, he had 1 kick return for 37 yards. It was a beautiful run. And then in the punt game, he returned 3 punts tonight for 30 yards. Long of 16 on the return. So I was impressed with Isaiah. Every week, he's been manhandling, punt and kick returns. He's been doing well with it. Anytime that he's been called up, on the offensive side of the ball, he's done a good job. And I think that there is just too much here to be excited about. There's more to him that we haven't seen yet. And matter of fact, you just go back to what we were talking about with, is it the quarterback's fault? Wait till he shows us what he can do with Jared Goff. Because not a whole lot of people have seen what Isaiah can do with Jared Goff other than the team or anybody that's attended camp. And if he's ever had an opportunity to work with the ones. I would be really interested, because I haven't read every article out there. I would be really interested what John McElroon has to say about Isaiah Williams and Jared Goff's connection. Has there been a connection throughout this training camp so far? I'll zip off, a question and see if we can get an answer before Monday. Because I'm interested to know if there's any connection there, if they've played well together, if it looks like there's some symmetry between those two. Because if there is, then I think it makes even more sense. But he's done a lot with less, is my opinion on Isaiah Williams. I think that he's produced in a very limited capacity. And I think that whenever, his name is called, he stepped up. So I think for those reasons, you got a hard worker, you got someone that's hungry, he's young. And being an undrafted guy, someone the Lions committed to with $100,000 or $200,000 in guaranteed money, he absolutely deserves a shot. And these bots, you can get gone. You're supposed to be hidden. I don't even know how they're on this channel. Let's see here. Yeah, Trace, when you I see you caught that one, but yeah, hide them. Yeah, just make sure you hide them. Get rid of them. Good catch. They always seem to get 5 or 6 of them in there. If you guys are in the chat right now, do not click on anything that these bots put out there. There's this full game streaming on NFL HD Play. It's all spam. You will get a virus on your computer, I promise you. So do not click that stuff. All right, let me get back into the chat here. We got 2 different chats going, it looks like. All right, Ryan Van Valkenburg says... Oh, it disappeared. Roger Chappis, good evening. Just joined us. Welcome in. Broski Bears in the house. Donovan Scissorhands will make this team. I think so, too. I do. I don't think that we have an option. I really don't. Mike P, I like your statement here. He does say how, it's funny that Isaiah Williams gets open enough to show his worth with the same quarterback and Big Z catches balls. Just saying DPJ should be able to do the same. And I would agree with you 1,000%, Mike. I would, because it, to me and to you, obviously, it makes a lot of sense that if you can have one guy that's succeeding, why not the other, right? Here's the difference to me, and I don't know if this will make sense, but DPJ runs different routes. Him being more of the X receiver and Isaiah being more in the slot. Some quarterbacks I feel are more courageous with certain throws, and they feel more comfortable making certain throws. And for that reason, I feel like they have more success throwing to a certain style of a receiver. Does that make sense? You know what I'm trying to say here? So I think that could be the issue. Whereas Jared Goff, he'll throw it to anybody, anywhere, anytime. And he's comfortable making every throw. I don't think Nate is comfortable making every throw. I know Hendon Hooker is not comfortable. When I watch those quick out passes to Shane Zielstra tonight was one, and who caught the other one? Was it Tom Kennedy? I think caught one. I can't stand that play. I hate that play. When Jared throws it to, I cannot stand that play. That play used to work 5 years ago. When you'd put a triple set out, you'd run, a little bit of deception, off the line. One guy curls around and catches the ball on the inside and is supposed to make a move and, get a first down at least, or it's supposed to be a big gain play. Those are interception pick six balls to me. That's what those balls are. Every time I see that pass thrown, I just put my head down because I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting to hear and then I'm going the other way. Because that's all I've ever seen from that pass in the last few years. Cannot stand it. So no one is comfortable making that throw right now. And that is probably Hendon Hooker's worst throw. Anything that's an out route like that or, something that is long to the sideline, Hendon has not done the greatest with. He's got to get the ball out quicker. Tonight, he shouldn't have thrown that ball. I mean, they ate it up. They were right on top of it. So anyway, I guess where I was going with that whole thing is, to me, it seemed like they were more comfortable throwing the ball to Isaiah Williams than they were DPJ, in the routes that he was running. DPJ over the middle, he made those catches, the ones that were catchable, that were good passes and on time, no problem there. But DPJ on the outside, not so much. The balls weren't getting to him. So it's something to go look at the tape with, right? And I think that's something to watch a little bit more of. So, Ryan, what are you talking about? Are you talking about another new injury to Houston? I didn't hear of an injury to Houston. Please tell me there's not another injury to Houston. Because he's next on my list after Isaiah Williams. Oh, no. Hurry up, Brian. You got to tell me. Hooker has happy feet. Eric Myers, Hooker has happy feet. Caused me to hold my breath a few times. Yeah, me too, man. Me too. No, okay. You're saying the time he's missed. Okay, I got you. Houston's on this team. But before I get to him, Isaiah Williams, he's a lock, man. If he does not make this team, I would be extremely surprised. The Lions are looking for some taller wide receivers. I don't think that's a secret. I think that Dan Campbell and even Ben Johnson earlier in the season even said that they were looking for some bigger receivers. Darius Fountain, DPJ, they fit that mold. Antoine Green fit that mold, but he's done for the season. So now you have to look to guys that can produce. I think that with Isaiah Williams, he would be the absolute last slot style or slot size receiver that you're going to see added to this team because you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Khalif Raymond, and Isaiah Williams that are true slot guys. Even though Khalif can play on the outside and can take a long route, here or there, Jameson Williams is kind of that tweener. He can play on the outside because he's got long speed, but he's not 6'3". He's not 6'2.5". He's just barely 6'1". So we're still looking for some tall guys. So I think that with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Khalif Raymond, Isaiah Williams, how many more slot guys do you really want? I think that we need at least two guys that are, over 6'2" on this team. One that can play early and then one that's, just on the bottom of the depth chart that's there for backup purposes, or if you need to get taller guys in on the red zone play, kind of a throw it up, go get it ball. You need some tall guys. Houston tonight. Let's get into Houston. So I'll read a few things from the chat first. So Detroit Fan Man says, that Risdon tweet felt revealing about DPJ. I didn't see the tweet. And I guess, are you sharing it here? Williams telling the vet, Donovan Peoples-Jones, where he's supposed to be on a play. DPJ doesn't get there, and the Lions burn a timeout. I saw that. That was a heady play by Isaiah. Do we know who was right, though? That's the question. Do we know who was right? Did Isaiah call him over and he was wrong? Or was DPJ on the wrong side? Here's my bigger question. How come Hendon Hooker didn't correct him? That's what I'm more worried about. Why did the quarterback say, hey, come on, get over here. You're on the wrong side. Yeah. Is DPJ in La La Land? Is he totally just kind of lost that love and feeling? I mean, I keep bringing that song up. It's like stuck in my head now. Good point. Good point, Detroit Fan Man. Good point. Josh Jackson says, it's all good. We hypothetically already have our Jerry Rice, Amon-Ra, and John Taylor, Williams, and Dwight Clark, Laporta, and probably the most dominant O-line in the business. I think that we're going to be okay. I agree. And that's why it's really tough in this offense after the third wide receiver. They're not going to get any targets. Unless there's some crazy injuries, they are not getting any targets. Eric Rintamaki says DPJ was wrong. And Henry corrected him first. I didn't see that. DPJ not only lined up wrong, but he also ran a very lazy route, especially when he thought that he wouldn't get the ball. Now that's telling, right? If he feels like he's on the bottom of the depth chart and he's just out there kind of lollygagging around, then why has Dan and Brad just not cut the guy already? I doubt that he's out there playing decoy on every opportunity. So I just ended the poll. Is it DPJ or is it the QB? It tightened up a little bit. 54% thinks that it's DPJ. Well, I guess we'll roll with the poll. Oh, Craig says that stupid song was in my head already thanks to you. I'm going to load it up now. I'm going to have to put it as one of the sound bites. Hopefully it doesn't get snagged by YouTube. Steve K says the rookie telling the veteran what to do. Nah. I guess that's what happened tonight. I watched it happen. J-Rod says David Bell is hungry. If cut, bring him in for a 7th rounder. If he's cut, we won't have to spend anything. That's for sure. Lions are going to be a tough challenge for the Bears. They for sure will be. Yeah, Craig's just giving me smack about the song choice that sticks in your head after you hear it. Let's see here. J Mommy says that's Righteous Will. Craig Hogue, that song has been stuck in my head for 2 days. I was humming it at work. Hey, I'm glad that we have that positive effect on people here at Rocked On Detroit Lions. I think it's fun. That's great. Ryan Van Valkenburg says, not a good look for DPJ. No dog in him, man. Then it's time to move on. You know what? I'm attached to DPJ just because I think that he's got it. I know that he has. I know that he has it within him. I know that he does. I just felt like he needed time with Jared Goff. But you know what? Sometimes the writing's on the wall. If he's just not going to put it together, you got to cut him loose. We can't be like William Clay Ford of the old days, right? And hang on to players because, you're a player's owner and you kind of hang on to guys way too long. Can't do that. And I can't do that. I can't be attached to these guys. I have to be able to separate, and be realistic. If DPJ is not going to live up to the challenge of what it takes to be a Detroit Lion, then he's got to go. It's simple as that. I'd rather see Isaiah Williams make the plays. I'd rather see somebody else get a shot. But it doesn't mean that we don't keep him through the first, round of cuts and that they just go out and find somebody else that becomes available. We have to remember that. He might end up on this team and then he might be cut within 24 or 48 hours. You don't know. We just don't know. I was supposed to go to somebody else next. Who was I supposed to go to? And the phone lines are open. If anybody wants to call in, let me make sure it's on. If you guys want to call in and talk about your thoughts and what you think about the team and the game today, who surprised you, who didn't, who played well, who didn't, feel free to call in. 313-312-0348. Oh, just got a text. John Macaroon sent out his 53-man roster projection. I don't normally like to read these before I do mine. This is a cardinal sin. You guys want me to review it? Did you guys review it yet? Is it even out there yet? No, it's posted 36 minutes ago. All right, we'll review it. We'll review it before we get off tonight. All right, we got another new subscriber tonight. George Wang, welcome in. He says, great discussion. Like your point earlier about our backup quarterback effect on our backup wide receivers. I'm from the Bay Area, and I now live in L.A. Can give intel on our NFC opponents, Niners and Rams. That's awesome, man. So phone number again is 313-312-0348. And during the season, we like to have people call in, talk. It's like radio, it's radio style. Freedom of speech here. Just try to keep it PC, right? Keep it clean for the sponsors. And just talk some football. Have some fun. J-Rod says, Marshall, 6'4", 4'3", I have not looked into Marshall yet. Be interesting to see what I find out tomorrow. Let's see. Michael Lukey says, review it. I'll review it. I'll do it tonight. We'll do it before I get off. So James Houston, that's where I wanted to go to next. So James Houston is, one of the other guys tonight, in my opinion, that just kind of showed us once again who he is. And I think I commented tonight on Booner's post. He had like his top five hot takes, I think, for today. Matter of fact, let me pull it up. Because here's what I was noticing during the game. Let me pull it up on Twitter here. Let me pull it up. I'm kind of slowly learning how to use Twitter now. Finally. So here is my top 5 of the day so far while I was watching the game. Literally sent this while I was at the game. 1, I was saying that I've been saying that Williams is a lock and that he deserves it. Here's what Booner said. Biggest takeaways from the first half of the Lions game tonight. A few of his were Isaiah Williams is wide receiver 4. Hendon Hooker is still growing. O-line depth is brutal. And James Houston and Ukwu are standing out. My response was, I've been saying Williams is a lock. He deserves it. And then my top 5 of the day so far, Bates can't kick short. Only long. Am I wrong? He's only kicking long balls. Is that a bad thing? No. Why? Because if we're under the 30-yard line, I have a feeling that Dan Campbell's going for it. If it's not more than 4th and 6. I think he's going for it. Williams and DPJ are the last 2 wide receivers, but we are still searching after cuts. And that was for DPJ. This was as of 3 p.m. today, by the way. Number 3, Houston gets 10 sacks this season. He'll be the second leading Lions sack master for 2024. Probably behind Aiden Hutchinson. And why do I say that? The reason why I say that is because Houston gets sacks almost every game. He comes in tonight, very limited reps, gets a sack. He stepped on the field for the first time ever in 2022. He gets a sack within like 3 plays. And then he followed it up like 3 plays later with another sack. And then every game for the rest of the season, he got a sack or 2. The only reason why he didn't get sacks last year is because he was injured. Got off to a slow start in game 1 and then was injured. But now he's feeling good. He's feeling healthy. He gets into the game. He affects the game. That was the fastest sack on record so far this season, that James Houston got tonight. And it just so happened at the same exact time, Mosby for the Packers also had one of the fastest sacks of the season at the same exact time of the game tonight. I found that interesting. So James Houston is going to be the problem, like he has been. He's going to benefit big time of what the Lions have done tonight. And someone mentioned, I don't remember who it is, so if it was one of you guys that mentioned this, might have been Mike P today, having, our speed rusher on the outside and Aiden Hutchinson on the inside. That is going to terrorize some offenses. I'm a little worried about Aiden's weight, maybe not being heavy enough, but speed kills. All you got to do is beat these tackles to the inside, and get beyond them. The one thing that I was saying about Aiden that I kept watching tape from last season is he gets held quite a bit. He needs an over-under move. He needs to get underneath these tackles' left arm, or right arm, I should say, when he's on the left side. If he can just figure out how to get underneath them, he's going to have a lot more pressure and a lot more sacks on the quarterback. I think that Aiden would be better utilized on the left side or the right side of the defense, left side of the offense. If you're right-handed, you're going to bend left easier, in my opinion. I don't know if Aiden bends easier to the left, but it seems like he would. I think that he would be better suited on the right side, but we'll see. And to Mike P's credit, man, he can see it working this year with the flexibility that we have. And now you're inserting James Houston back into a defensive plan that has so much opportunity up and down this line to be so versatile that you could literally run into every game with a different plan. And none of these offenses are going to have any clue what you're doing from the week before. You could go 2, 3, 4 games with a different plan and then switch it up and then go back to what you started with. If it fits the mold, if it fits the plan for that team that you're going up against. The fourth thing that I said in this this post, backup offensive line is trash. We better stay healthy. And number 5, Hooker holds the ball way too long. He relies on his legs too much. His decision-making is suspect too often. I mean, there's nothing but truth there, in my opinion. That's what I saw. And that was in the first half. Jake Bates is, I don't think he's a problem. I don't. I think that the fact that we've got a great leg that has been proven, time and time again that he can hit the long ball. That's what we were missing last year. Anything over 50, Dan didn't have confidence. I'm guessing, right? I'm injecting for him, but now you see where he has confidence. And again, tonight, missing a short kick. I even said it while we were sitting there. I'm like, okay, so we get the penalty. We back up 5 yards. They trot, Bates out onto the field. And I told one of my buddies in front of me, I said, man, he really struggles from this distance. It's probably good that he's getting another opportunity, kicking an extra point for a field goal. And then great kick, just missed it. Same thing that happened last week. Great kick, just missed it. Tracked it to the left. I think tonight he tracked it to the right. So he overcorrected from a short distance. I don't know why he has so much trouble with short kicks. I mean, those should just be bangers right down the middle. So there's something going on there. They'll get it figured out. Eric Meyer says our O-line and D-line sure struggled with starters today, no doubt. What sack did I miss, Curtis Wilson? Betts versus Houston versus Ukwu. Look, all 3 of those guys are making the team. If you want to know my answer, right now they'd all be making the team. I think it's going to be a depth problem. You might see that we only keep 8 offensive linemen this year because we have to go out and find somebody. Our depth is that bad, which means it opens up more opportunity for other defensive positions, like, another defensive end, another defensive tackle, potentially now another safety. If Etu Malifonwu is not going to start the season. Mike P is a Betts backer, but he's cooling off a little bit. Broski Bear says he's not talking trash, but Hooker reminds me of a less physically skilled Fields. Broski, you're not wrong. I don't think that you're wrong, but I do feel like it's really early for Hooker. But you're not wrong, and you're not being disrespectful, man. Brian Van Valkenburg said, Dan said that he is going to be patient with Bates and not get frustrated, allowing him to grow. It's another great plan by Dan the man. You just can't get frustrated. You know, you just got to keep instilling confidence into the young kicker. I mean, goodness, the guy didn't kick a ball for how many years? He didn't kick a field goal for at least 2 years, if not 3 years, before he joined and was kicking field goals for the UFL. So he's only been kicking balls for the last year. I think that's incredible. We'll see how far it goes. I think that, yeah, he's definitely safe, to compound there on Eric Rintamacki's comment. I think that Bates is definitely, I mean, we don't have another kicker in the building, so he's definitely safe. J Mommy says Hooker and Fields are very similar except for size. I would agree with you on that, talking to Broski. I definitely have to watch the highlights later. I missed it because of the fair. Where was the fair? There was a fair in Hastings tonight. Was that the fair you were at? I drove through there on my way back. I should have got I really wanted like a funnel cake or something, you know? Elephant ear. Let's see. Betts will be on this team according to Trace. And Josh Jackson says, Uper Lights. Oh, you're just commenting. I got you. All right, so let's do this. It is 7:53 p.m. Let me get to one ad by one of our sponsors. It is a quick one, but I got to give a shout out to Uber Lights.
Every day, thousands of people are discovering Uper Lights, Michigan's newest, funnest rock to go find on the shores of the Great Lakes. Don't go out with just any light. Try the Convoy C8 from uperlights.com. It's guaranteed for life, and you'll find all the ones everyone else misses. Quality UV lights that are perfect for Uper Lights, with prices starting as low as $20. Please make sure to visit uperlights.com for all your UV flashlight needs, with the best guarantees on the market. Just what you wanted and not what you didn't. The best quality, the best guarantees, and the best UV flashlights from uperlights.com.
All right, so I just told Mr. John Macaroon, the doc, that we're going to review his article. And like I told him, man, I don't normally look at these before I put my 53 out, but I'm not writing an article this year. I'm just going to be doing it live. I'm not going to write until the website is fully done. So I've decommitted from writing. I write every day, every night, but that's to do the shows. I should turn all those into articles and then do the show, is what I'm supposed to do. That's what I started doing. But when the website wasn't finished correctly, I'm kind of weird. I don't know, you call it OCD or what. It just has to be right. The site has to be right for me for it to make sense. So, all right, let's get into his, wow. Right off the get. Let's get into his article here. This is by John Macaroon. And this came out today, 49 minutes ago. Here we go. He says the Detroit Lions' final 53-man roster projection was clearly difficult to fill out after the team's preseason victory against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Players were challenged to step up and show the coaching staff that they deserved a spot on a Super Bowl caliber team. Like the statement, man. I like the statement. I love the confidence. All right, so while there were challenging decisions, the initial roster should provide the coaching staff solace early. And early wins in the regular season are attainable. Let me see if I can pull this up online real quick, because reading it from my phone is a little difficult. Let me plug in the Lions final. 53 man. Yep, here we go. Got it. All right. Man, here we go. Quarterback. Take a guess. How many does he got? Or how many does he have? Let me start with proper grammar first. How many did he save for his initial 53? What do you guys think? To answer your question there, Perryman247, it should be 16. So I think it was elevated from 10 to 16 in the COVID era. And I don't think that they brought it back down. So I still think it's 16. And as far as protect, I think it's 4. But don't quote me here. I think it's 4. It's around that number. All right, so you guys are right on there. We got the votes. Ornery U of M Dad and Eric Myers both say 3. And he kept 3. Jared Goff is in. Nate Sudfeld is your number 2. Hendon Hooker at 3. Out is Jake Fromm. Says Nate Sudfeld not appearing against the Steelers all but solidified his spot on the roster as the team's backup quarterback behind veteran Jared Goff. So I do know this, the ladies and gentlemen that are in the members only chat, you guys heard me say that today during the game, or I was on my way to the game, or I'm sorry, it was during the game where I said that with Nate not playing, that means that the guy is probably in. So we're on the same wavelength here, John. I'm with you. Running backs. He kept 4. I've also said that the Lions are going to be keeping 4. And he's got him in the same exact order that I would have. Well, I put Jahmyr Gibbs as number 1. He's got David Montgomery in as the first one. Jahmyr Gibbs is the second. 2 different positions, though, right? I mean, you got your speed back, you got your power back. Sione Vaki in is number 3. Craig Reynolds in is number 4. The only question that I have right now is Craig Reynolds' injury. So I need a little bit more information between now and Monday when I do my 53-man. So really now and tomorrow night, because it'll be done by tomorrow night. How long is Craig Reynolds out for? Is it long-term, short-term? Is it 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks? What is it? Is it 1 week? Because if it's going to be any longer than a couple of weeks, then I think that the Lions probably do some sort of an injury list with Craig. And that way they can retain him without firing him. And then the Lions keep 3. And then I think that the Lions would probably keep an additional player somewhere else. So I personally need more information on the injury. Let's see what he had to say. He said, despite the best efforts of Jake Funk, Jefferson, and Knight, the team's top running backs solidified their positions. All 3 of those not on the initial 53-man roster will have an opportunity to join the Lions practice squad or join with another team, as each played well throughout training camp. Jake Funk, look, he's a good story. I just don't think that he has enough. Jefferson, I think that has more opportunity to make a team than he doesn't. I do love the way that Zonovan Knight runs. Always been a fan of Zonovan Knight, especially last season. I'm glad to see him playing football again after that injury. But I'm in agreement here. I think that the Lions should keep 4. That way you have a backup for Gibbs and you have a backup for Montgomery. And both of them, Craig Reynolds kind of would be the Montgomery backup and Sione Vaki would kind of be the Gibbs backup, maybe. Is that how we're thinking? Or vice versa here? I don't know. Craig and Sione, I mean, they kind of run similar, to be honest with you. But Sione Vaki, he's just different with a capital D. Different. Wide receiver. Wow. Oh, wow. Now, this is interesting. Wow. How many do you think he kept? Okay, Uperlite says Craig Reynolds is good to go. Okay. I guess we'll see what I do then Monday morning. How many do you think John kept for wide receivers? This is intriguing. Don't be looking it up either. Don't be cheating. I'll give you 30 seconds here. Mike P's backing me up. He says, yes, it was what you said, Will. Sean Lewis says, who are the Will Rock stars of the game tonight? we're kind of past that moment, but let me do that while we're getting the answers in on how many wide receivers do they think that John Macroom put on his initial 53. If I were to go by stats, I would tell you that my number one star of the night tonight, Hendon Hooker on the ground, I thought was great. I'm just concerned because I'd rather see it coming from his arm right now than his feet. From a running back perspective, nobody really impressed me a whole lot tonight. I mean, Jake Funk just got a lot of time. Hendon Hooker was the best running back. My stars on the game, if I were to take, 2 or 3 from each side, I definitely liked what Maurice Alexander did tonight in the passing game. Caden Davis stepped up big with a couple of nice passes. Isaiah Williams stepped up big. Shane Zielstra had a few nice catches. Jalon Calhoun had a few nice catches, but I can't take them all. So it'd be Isaiah Williams and Maurice Alexander on the offensive side of the ball. Hendon Hooker on the ground, in his running game. Those are probably my stars for the offense. Nobody else really did a whole lot in my mind that was that beneficial. But I did like John Calhoun, man. Like, when they needed it, he was there. Same thing with Caden Davis. When they needed it, he was there. And that is what you like to see when you need something that they can go in and get it done. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, Ty Summers, my goodness. This guy was all over the place tonight. All over. All over the place. Stephen Gilmore had a good night tonight. James Houston, in the limited amount of play that he had, solid night. 3 tackles, 1 sack. Good night. Ty Summers, 2 TFLs, 1.5 sacks. Man, even Joel Iwi got in on a half a sack tonight. And I know that's not his full name, but I can't pronounce his full last name. Other than that, the guys like Mekhi Wingo, Josh Paschal, CJ Moore, Matthew Betts, they just didn't do enough. Brandon Joseph was okay, in coverage. Asang Basie was actually pretty solid. Didn't know who this guy really was, but he's really starting to grow on me. I just don't think that there's enough room. Mitchell Agudi has been pretty consistent all season so far. I really love this kid, man. Mitchell Agudi is and shout out to Kimber, because Mike Kimber has been the guy that has been calling Mitchell Agudi to this roster the entire season. I don't know if too many other people that have really called Mitchell Agudi to this roster, but Kimber's done a nice job with this one. Probably all the way back to OTAs or whenever we picked him up. But Ty Summers, standout player of the game tonight, comes out of nowhere the last couple of weeks, leader of this defense tonight. James Houston, he would be my second. And the only reason why, with the limited amount of snaps and stats, is because he's effective. That's why. He's effective when he's in the game. And Lauren Strickland, solid game tonight. Super solid game. So that would be my 3. Ty Summers, Lauren Strickland, James Houston. And you could make an argument for 3 or 4 more guys here. You really could, which is good to see. It's good to see. They really stepped up in the second half, but when the first team, kind of went out, that's when a lot of these guys started to have, some success. And that's why the guys that I chose were in earlier in the game and had some success. So, all right, now let's get into the rest of this initial 53 man. Let me pull it up. All right. He kept 4 receivers. So kind of what I was saying, right? Because of the fact that, and I've said it both ways, so out of both sides of my mouth here, the Lions may not have an option but to keep, 5 or 6 receivers because they don't know who to keep. And they got to keep everybody until something else comes available or somebody else becomes available. Either there's somebody that is sitting at home right now that is not on a team that could be intriguing. I put out Michael Thomas video. I have no idea where he is in his recovery at this point. I don't know that he wants to play third or fourth fiddle, on a team. I don't know that. I think that would be the only caveat here for, a Michael Thomas, style of signing. Williams, someone else brought up another Williams. Would that be crazy to have 3 Williams on this team, on the receiving core? That may be nuts. Williams, and Williams all stacked up next to each other. That'd be crazy. Why are all these Williams so good at being receivers? But he kept Amon-Ra St. Brown. No surprise, right? Jameson Williams, no surprise. And Cleve Raymond, no surprise. And then Isaiah Williams. So that is not a surprise either. I'm in full agreement that all 4 of those guys belong on this team. However, I would make the argument that Caden Davis probably did enough. And Donovan Peoples-Jones is just kind of the guy that you keep until you find somebody else. You have to have somebody to at least start the season with. But I without looking at the rest of what he put together, I'm going to go ahead and say that he probably went really deep on the defensive line and potentially linebacker. And I haven't even gone past tight end yet. So we'll see. Ooh, sorry about that. I got to turn down the headphones or something. Get this thing away from me. All right, so tight end. He kept 3. Sam Laporta, Brock Wright, Shane Zielstra. I initially thought 3, but, then I thought the Lions might keep 4, especially depending on what they do with receiver. If they truly only keep 4 receivers, I think you have to keep 4 tight ends. And the reason being is I think that Parker Hess did enough to, be that H-back, be that guy that can help us in the run game. He can help us, in the heavier tight end sets for this season. I think that he's done enough and shown enough to be a capable and willing blocker, someone that can be in the backfield that can protect Jared Goff, and then you kick out Jahmyr Gibbs. You put Hess and Gibbs back there, and then you kick out Jahmyr Gibbs into the slot, and now you have another wide receiver, in the slot. And then you can kick Jameson Williams outside, Amon-Ra the other way, Sam Laporta tucked inside Amon-Ra St. Brown. Nobody's stopping that offense. I'm sorry. No one's stopping it. And then you've got a designated blocker in the backfield for Jared Goff. So I love it. He kept 3 tight ends. I could see it. The Lions have kind of gone back and forth between 3 and 4 tight ends over the last few seasons. Offensive line, he kept 9. Now, this is a bit of a shocker to me because of what we saw today. And I wasn't real excited about the bottom end of this roster. But last season, I believe the Lions kept 8 on the final roster. And I was very surprised. I thought that the Lions would have kept at least 9 last year. But they kept 8. So in is obviously Frank Ragnow, Graham Glasgow, Kevin Zeitler, Taylor Decker, Penei Sewell. To back them up, you're going to have Kobe Sorsdahl backing up a tackle position. Dan Skipper being the swing tackle. Giovanni Manu, technically he's been playing left tackle. I would shove him down in the guard position right away. I don't think he's talented enough right now to play left tackle. That's just my opinion. But I think that he is going to be an absolute road grader by year 2. Coyote Awosika, he did enough in the NFC Championship game to earn a spot on this roster this year, as long as he came in with the ability to play like he did last year and made some improvements. I see Coyote making this roster. I really do. But that's your 9 by John McAroon. Now, the outs, obviously, is Michael Neese, Kingsley, Aguakun, Brian Hudson, Jake Burton, Duke Clemens, and Jamarco Jones. So Jamarco Jones popped out to have a real nice game last week. I didn't get a ton of time to watch what he did today. I don't even know if he got in because I didn't watch the whole fourth quarter. Matter of fact, I didn't watch past the third quarter because I was on my way home. Kingsley, he kind of had a rough go at it today, like a real rough go. And the fact that, they're going up against number ones and he had a true test today, kind of got exposed, so whereas last week I had him making this roster, I do not see Kingsley making this roster over Giovanni Manu. But here is the deciding factor for Christian Mahogany. I don't see Christian Mahogany on this roster because he's listed as NFI. And that's something that I felt that the Lions are probably going to do. It's a little bit too late in the season for the Lions to get Christian ready for the season. And putting him as an NFI candidate helps the Lions to retain his services without losing a roster spot. So I firmly believe that is a great choice by John Macaroon right there. And I'm in total agreement right now with what he has going on here for the offensive line. I think it's great work here. Kingsley is the only other one that I might make an argument for, but we'll see what happens. Defensive line. Oh, like I figured. He did go heavy. He went heavy on defensive line and defensive end. He kept 12. 6 and 6. You guys know that I've been talking about this for a while too. Like this is where it makes sense. You heard Dan Campbell back me up, and I tried to do a video the other day because I say this quite often. Is that, sixth receiver going to be better than that sixth cornerback or that, fifth safety? Is, that sixth defensive lineman or the sixth defensive end going to be better than that sixth cornerback or that fourth safety? In a season where we have a new kickoff rule, I really believe that a lot of defenses are probably going to keep an extra linebacker, an extra safety, or an extra cornerback, if not all three. You need more guys to play special teams. You need guys that are faster, guys that can get to the boundary quicker and get downfield to make a play. You almost seen the Lions break one or two tonight, and there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to be able to do that. Especially if you got some fast, speed demons back there like a Jamison Williams or Jahmyr Gibbs. Heck, even Sione Vaki is fast enough to be able to break one of these. But I do believe that the defensive line is much tougher to figure out, and it would probably be in the Lions' benefit to keep an extra guy right now, especially on the defensive line with DJ Reader potentially not able to start the season. But he has DJ Reader in, Ali McNeil, Levi O, Broderick Martin, Kyle Pecco, and Mekhi Wingo. I'm in 1,000% agreement with this. The only thing that I would make a change to is that, and we'll talk about it more tomorrow, or I'm sorry, Monday, is DJ Reader. So DJ Reader, if he needs to be on the NFI list too, it would make sense that you bring him back in week 6. You have a bye in week 5. You give him an extra week to get ready. He can be out for the first 4 weeks. You get him back week 6, and that would mean that you keep Chris Smith on this team. We'll see where that goes. Defensive end. Man, it is so tough. He kept 6. Aiden Hutchinson, Marcus Davenport, Josh Pascal, Isaac Ukwu, James Houston, and Mitchell Agudi. I'm in 1,000% agreement here, but I think that there's going to be an argument for Matthew Betts or Matthew Betts, however you like to pronounce his name. Is it Betts or is it Isaac Ukwu? Who's had the better season so far? Isaac Ukwu. They both kind of play different positions. I think Isaac Ukwu could stand up and be an outside linebacker or maybe have better success with it than what Matthew Betts has shown so far. I know they scrapped the whole outside linebacker position for Matthew Betts pretty quickly. Now, Isaac Ukwu is registering in at, what was he, 6'3", 258 pounds. So he's a pretty big linebacker. He's a tweener between a linebacker and a pass rusher and an edge guy. So he's a tweener in my opinion. He's not, 6'5", 6'7", playing on the outside. He's, on the shorter end, more linebacker size, just a little bit heavier. If he were to drop 10, 12 pounds, you could definitely put him in as an outside linebacker and he would have a little bit more speed. But so far through this season, he has contributed 3 sacks and 5 tackles with 1 forced fumble. That's a hell of a season so far. Hell of a season. Matter of fact, let's take a look at Mitu Betts. What has Mitu Betts done? Mitu Betts has only contributed two tackles and 1 sack. He's 6'2", 259 pounds, so right in the same body type and size as Isaac Ukwu. I'm not sure who's faster. Not that speed really matters a whole lot, but I still think there's an argument for Mitu Betts, and it'll be interesting to see what I come up with by Monday. Linebacker. There's been a lot of big changes, I feel, with this linebacker group this year that, and I don't mean by personnel, but changes from a perspective of what are they going to be able to do within this new defensive scheme? How are they going to be utilized now that AG has a certain set of skills at different positions now on the defense? And I think that that's going to dictate who you keep. And he's keeping a guy that I've been saying should make this team too. But right away, you start off with Alex Anzalone, Jack Campbell, Derek Barnes, Jalen Reeves-Maybin. No surprise here. His last guy, Ben Niemann, a guy that I've been projecting to make this roster. I would go one further. Right now, I think there's an argument to be made for Ty Summers after tonight's performance. I think that Ty Summers deserves an opportunity. I don't believe he has a bigger opportunity than Ben Niemann right now, but I do believe he deserves an opportunity. He has Malcolm Rodriguez on the PUP list, so Malcolm's not going anywhere. At least not yet. Cornerback. Now, this is, the next 2 positions here, cornerback and safety. A lot of great players here. A lot of great players. He kept 6. I think that's great. I think that that's the right number, given the fact, like I just said, you need more guys on this kickoff. And he's got Carlton Davis, Terrion Arnold, Ennis Rakestraw, Amik Robertson. No surprise here. Those 4 have been a lock all season. Where it gets a little bit different here, a lot of people are loving Stephen Gilmore. They can't stand the fact that this guy could be off this team. But he kept Kendall Vildor and Khalil Dorsey. And I've been in Kendall's boat, and I've been rowing with Khalil. I think that both of these guys deserve to be on this team. I think that they've done enough, in this preseason. I think that Khalil Dorsey has had a few more plays that are a bit suspect. But I think that Khalil being, on this team now for 2 seasons, or at least with us since last season, knows enough about this defense and can work well within this defense. And if there is a injury right now to Ifeatu Melifonwu that is going to keep him out for any length of time, you're going to need to keep a couple of extra players, whether they're corners or safeties. Speaking of safety, so he kept Kirby Joseph. He kept 4, Brian Branch, Brandon Joseph, and CJ Moore. All of the same guys that I would keep, but there's probably one change that I'll make, and I'll wait and save that for Monday. But he's got Ifeatu Melifonwu on the PUP list, so he clearly knows something. And Ifeatu may not be able to start the season. Very interesting developments here in the last, waning hours of the 53-man cuts. Special teams, no surprise. Jake Bates, Jack Fox, Scott Daly. So you guys tell me, what do you think? Thumbs up, thumbs down on the list? I think overall, these are the right guys. It's just, how can you fit them all, right? How do you fit them all to be able to keep the guys that you want to keep? Do you really need to keep 3 quarterbacks? Does it really matter if you have Hendon Hooker and Nate Sudfeld? At this point, I think that it is a toss-up between those 2, whether they can win you a game or not. And for that matter, you'll see what I do on Monday. Mike P says, what is their special teams role as far as bets? I'm not following you there, buddy. I'm not following you on that one, bud. We got I Register in the house. Says Betts had a marginal performance in the Chiefs game. In your opinion, that sack was a gift from the right tackle. You know, I went back and watched that tape. I think that, I think Betts, he was on the left side. Yes, he was right tackle. I think Betts just beat him. He just beat him to the inside. Trey says Matty Betts is what we're calling him. Matty Betts. Yeah, it's been tough with his name. Everyone's all over the place with that name. Perriman247 says Vaki didn't play because he's made the team. They don't want to risk injury, and that's smart. You know, there's no need to put these guys out there. If they've made the team, there's just no need to risk injury. I just hope that Nate Sudfeld didn't play because he wasn't good enough to make the team. Sorry. It probably is not the case. By the way, did you guys notice the new pin? I picked up some pins today, so I got one that has a microphone on it. I thought that was kind of cool. The Lions had one with a microphone on it. They made that one just for me. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. But I also put something else out today. So I watched the Lions live on the Lions app during the game just to kind of see what was going on there. I was hoping to catch, Justin Rogers was supposed to be on there today. And I didn't catch the portion where he was on there. And here's what I noticed. And I just threw this out there being kind of funny, being a little facetious here. Is this the way that the NFL is going to, try to compete? Not that there's much competition with an NFL team and their money to compete with the YouTubers now. Is that they're going to be putting this on their app. So they're going to pull people away from YouTube to go to their app to watch the game, as opposed to listening to a live stream play-by-play, because that, they've got the game playing. You can watch the full game on the app. I don't know if they're going to run it through the full season that way. I think the in-market games are going to be played there, if that's how I read it. Or are they going to play all the games on the app? I don't know what the competitive advantage or disadvantage is right now. But there's been this long standing argument with YouTube creators that YouTube kind of hides everybody's live streams. And if that's the case, it's going to be tough, where people used to have thousands of people watching. Now you might get 100 or 200 or 500. And it's just not the same. Obviously we do it. I was supposed to do it today, but I was at the game. And so Chef did it, kind of scheduled it late. So he didn't have a ton of action in there. But I appreciate those that did show up. But you got to go watch his lives, man. When he's doing the live play-by-play, he's got a high level of knowledge, and he can get really engaging. Of course, during the season, it'll be much different, but it's good stuff. So check him out, especially week 1. When I'm at the games, I won't be doing play-by-play. He'll be doing it. And then the away games, if I'm not at the game, I'll be doing it. I can't make every away game this year. I was going to try, but there's just no way. So let's see. What does Betts bring on special teams? I think that he brings enough. I mean, he definitely has the speed and the tenacity, I think, on special teams to make this team. And I think that that's a good point by Mike. I think, I understand where you're going with this. If you're not a starter, you've got to be able to contribute on special teams to make this team. And, Matty Betts, he has the ability on special teams. I don't know how many snaps he's had on special teams this season so far in the preseason. But these are all things that I'm digging in tomorrow. It's going to be a full day of stats analysis tomorrow. And then I had a good compliment from somebody today. It might have been from yesterday, but when I put out the video on Michael Thomas, just so you guys are aware, I don't just do lives, but I kind of do when it's the off season. And now that we're into the in season, and I'll stop being as busy, I do put out 2 to 3 videos a day. So some will be clips where we're doing high level clips of our videos so that we can just key in on, the things that you want to hear, as opposed to watching a full 2-hour show in the morning. We'll clip it up so that you guys can just watch the clips. And I try to put, the correct thumbnail, the correct description of what you're going to watch. And then I'll do videos where, I've got all the hypotheticals, the talking points, special things that we try to put together about players. I will tell you that in my opinion, not just because I create them. Really good information in there. Factual data, opinion stuff too, but all of it comes from factual data. We try not to do, we never really do any clickbait or anything like that. That's just not our style. We'd rather have you know what you're going to watch. And by clicking, you know what you're going to get. So it's just we're limited on words. We're limited on description words and all of that stuff. So some people think things are clickbait, but I can point out 3 or 4 channels that are all clickbait if you want. And they're not ours. So anyway, what do we have in for today? Over 100 people in right now. And I'm not sure how many likes we have. 83 likes. We need 17 more. So I would ask for your help here. Let's get this stream to 100 likes before we get off. It helps us to give you ad-free content while we're live. And if we don't have enough likes, we have to turn on ads. It's just it's a fair trade for us, because what happens when I don't turn on ads is YouTube will kind of tuck me away a little bit. But if I have enough likes, they keep us up in the recommended portion of YouTube. So that helps us stay relevant. It also helps us give you ad-free content as much as possible. Not every live stream will be ad-free, depending on who I have in here. Like if I have certain guests, then sometimes we just have to do it every once in a while. We got to keep the peace with YouTube. So we're working on that relationship. I see the likes going up right now. I appreciate it. You guys are awesome. So Monday morning, 8 a.m., we'll be back at it with the Rise and Grind morning show. I may pop in tomorrow with some more videos. Once I do all my breakdown analysis, talk about some guys tomorrow, and we'll see where it leads on Monday. It's going to be a fun 53 man, but I think it's going to be the hardest one I've done yet in the last 4 years, the last 4 seasons. So anything else you guys want to finish on tonight? We didn't get any callers tonight, but that's fine. We'll do callers Monday morning, all day Monday. We're going to open up the phone lines right away at 8:30 in the morning. That way you guys can call in and talk about positional groups. Well, I'll try to break it down segment by segment. We'll do all the positional groups segment by segment. That's the way the roster is going to be. And we're going to stick to it. I'm not going to get inundated with too much information, because we've already spoken about all of this for weeks on end now. And this is going to be the last day to put it to bed. And then Monday night, we'll go live when the 53-man roster comes out, and we'll have another conversation about it. And then we're going to get ready for week 1. Here was my challenge to the people in the members chat. When you guys go to the game on September 8th, make a sign. You can bring in a sign that is like 2 foot by 3 foot. Make a sign. Personally, what I'm doing is I'm doing Jared Goff on one side, and I don't know what I'm going to do on the other side. It might be promotional for the podcast. I'm going to do a Jared Goff chant style of a sign so that we can get those chants going throughout the game, before the game, after the game, whatever. But I would implore you to make a sign and bring it with you so that we can get those chants going. So Michael Garrity, you just call the phone line, 313-312-0348. That's the phone line. Plug it in your phone. I just put it in the chat. So that is the phone call in, that is the call in number for the show. It's always the same phone number. Now, I am working on having a conference call system set up probably by Tuesday or Wednesday next week. So that way we can take multiple calls and put people on hold so that we don't have just one line tied up. So I should have that done by Tuesday or Wednesday. And that way you'll be routed, and members will obviously be programmed, and you'll be able to get in, first line if you're a member to call in. We try to limit conversations to like 3 minutes or less, and that way we can get more people in, especially during the season, because you see there's over 100 people in now. There'll be way more, and it'll be very difficult to get to everybody. That's the good thing about growth, and all because of you guys. We've been growing like crazy, and we're almost to 5,500. As soon as we get to 5,500, we're going to be doing our next mini helmet giveaway. I still have 20 of these things to give away this season. So you do the math. That's 10,000 subscribers that we want to gain. With your help, we'll get there. With your help, we'll raise $50,000 for Rocked On Cancer Foundation. And, of course, with your help, our Lions are going to be going to the Super Bowl this year. We'll see you guys back here on Monday morning. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight. It's time for the regular season. Let's get to it. We're almost there. We'll see you guys Monday. If not tomorrow, but we'll see you guys Monday for sure. Have a good night.